Hello. I said hello, not hello. Then because I will no longer be greeting anyone with the greeting word of hello, compared on to how I have most recently decided to substitute it with substitute or replace it with another greeting word being which is for the greeting word of halo. Yes, I will substitute it for that replacement, meaning that because of reasons and or purposes for how at one time or another I had become subject to experiencing an epiphany. I think I said that right the first time, epiphany or revelation. Whereas I was reading this one pamphlet or leaflet, whereas this author of it, that particular reading material was like saying in more words or less, so I paraphrase and not quote exactly, that when one person greets another person with the word that is a greeting word of hello, that you're literally or actually wishing a curse upon another individual person. Meaning that because the root word of the greeting word of hello is supposed to be that of hell, being which is to be defined as translated, or being which is to be translated as to be defined as or meaning that of a place of torment. So therefore, I myself personally am deleting that particular greeting word out of my vocabulary for obvious reasons and on purposes for that of my person having said and or stated, for that being of the record. But then nevertheless I will continue to employ the usages of or use that of some of such other greeting words in addition to that of the other one that I was saying that I will employ the usages thereof or use as a substitute replacement for still another greeting word. Whereas I will all the same. Yes, all the same, or likewise or equal as well. Continue to use the greeting words of hey and hi. Employ the uses of those thereof in addition to some of such other one that would serve as a substitute replacement or still another greeting word, being of which I had mentioned, being of the said in question and of the former previous prime mention. Then how are you all doing? Well, hopefully everyone is doing at least okay. If not, better yet to be said, to be feeling all right. Or if not, best of all, to be said, to be feeling blessed and stressed, more blessed and stressed, too blessed to possibly come or be stressed. You and yours, your family and friends, and hopefully me and mine likewise as well, are all the same. So I say to you all, being whatsoever races and whatever walks of life, factions of society, lifestyle, preferences, the old, young alike, are both of the two sexual genders of males and females, representing not only that being the human species, being of which we all are affiliated or associated with, but then nevertheless that being of likewise, we're all the same. That of the global community within this post 911 era of a new millennium of this apocalyptic day and age, and whereas the doomsday clock is now at a few minutes to midnight compared on to our former periods prior to then, it was at a quarter midnight for these rather biblical prophetic times. Sorry about how I may say some words or incorporate within my dialogue that may sound and or seem rather repetitious, being because certain words are just a similarity to other ones and mean practically or possibly the same thing. That is a habit that I have to learn how to, in due time, break. If you look at it from one point of view, if not another, it is a rather bad habit in its own right compared to if you look at it from a much different angle. You know, like say the words of likewise as well, all the same, means practically and possibly the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? So, whereas on one hand, it may sound like I'm just repeating myself, whereas on the other hand, it is to make sure that another person don't develop a misunderstanding of what that mean of my person I'm trying to say. So, whereas at times it may seem like a bad habit, whereas other times it could be considered as a good habit, or at times it may seem to become or be of an inconvenience, whereas still at another time it may not seem to be so much of a disadvantage compared on to possibly becoming or being an advantage, not only to that being my person, but to whosoever else who could possibly become my viewing and listening audience. So that in the event that some kind, sort or type of legal battle could arise in the future, then it would be on record as to what I had said and or stated, you know, whereas there would be little or no discrepancy or a legit opposing argument to what that being of my person was trying to say and or state for that being of the record. But then if there are any internet trolls of a negative character, mentality, personality, psyche, or whatever I ever said, etc., that could possibly creep into my own personal social media channel and or chat room, then please, if you're just attempting to employ the uses of my podium for your own platform of ignorance, insanity, and politeness, then take a hike. There are hundreds of thousands or millions of other personal social media channels and or chat rooms that you yourself or anybody else that likes your kind sort of type can or could possibly pay a visit to. So I would strongly suggest or advise that you do just that, because I have a zero tolerance level for internet trolls, being of whom could have me reflect upon remind me of another negative character. And that some of them be moonlighting in some, so far as concerning proverbial neighbors from hell, other likes of dime a dozen public nuisance of problem neighbors, being of whom be moonlighting as negative internet trolls, crank callers, stalkers, and or etc. So don't come into my personal channel and or chat room with all that nonsense. Take it on elsewhere, where I say save yourselves any of the likes of your kind sort of type that you know headaches and heartaches or mental anguish and physical trauma. Anyway, though, so let's get this conversation rolling. You know, yes. Yes. Okay. But then, whatsoever I could possibly say, first of all, let me slightly interject before I were to get to speaking upon any subject matter or in due regard in reference to a topic of discussion to be debated with the many different views and opinions to be associated with some or such thereof or representing that of the same, by saying, first of all, that if at some given moment in time I could possibly, express myself and you have a difference of views and opinions about something I could possibly say, or could have said, then I would appreciate it if you were to employ the uses of discretion to bring it back to mind, to give your rebuttal or response or reply. You know, otherwise, don't bring it here. You know, and because I'm not having it, I have a zero tolerance level for nonsense or confusion or ignorance, insanity, and impoliteness or stupidity, sickness, and rudeness. Whereas I can get more than enough of that coming from a proverbial neighbor from hell, psychopath or sociopath, sadomasochist, sadist, cowardly, bully, and or terrorist wannabe, attempt to make my life a living damn hell upon a daily and a nightly basis. So just get out of here with all that. Because first of all, I will silence your chat, you know, to show my disapproval of the content of your dialogue. Okay. Or conversation or whatever I have said. And then second of all, I will block you. And very few people or persons being of whom I block do I permit re-entry into that being of my own social media channel and on chat room. Then because the majority or most being of whom I block, they are blocked permanently. Okay? And now that I have gotten that out the way, then let me commence with continue to do so with the exercise and verbal communications and be able to speak upon one subject matter or topic discussion or a couple few or four more for that matter. Please don't kill the messenger. I'm just here to deliver. You know, if I were to sound offensive, sounding or saying that is to have become quite, if not very much so, offensive to anybody. If you have a difference of views and opinions about something I could say or could have said, please bring it to mind, but in a discreet manner, and bring it to me first and foremost only if you're a civilized and or sane individual person. You know, before you were to attempt or try to reprimand me, then to bring it to the attentions of the administrative staff or administrators of this one particular social media website address, being of which I myself am likewise an account holder of, as well as anybody else, although I have accounts with other ones of its business competitors, like so many of us have a couple or a few at least accounts with different social media website addresses. Yes. And now that I have gotten that out of my system, not that I mean to confuse anybody, if you're having a bit of trouble understanding what I'm trying to say, then please, it's bring it to my attention, but use discretion while doing so, unless you want me to block you. No. And I would like to think that I myself, though I don't speak perfect English, that I'm speaking general or basic English of the American dialect that anybody can understand, whereas it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out what I'm trying to say. I mean, like, as if someone or such one or somebody else is trying to think to figure out some Egyptian hieroglyphics or some of such advanced mathematics or a foreign language. Anyway, though, you all moving right along, as our kissing cousins across the waters of the Great Atlantic would say, being the Brits, as in British or English, who had given birth to our own supposed so-called democratic republic or democracy, being of which is seemingly every day is like becoming just one big oil company of a big business corporation with its own private police and military force. I hate to think of it that way, but I'm kind of wondering whether or not that is the case. Hold that thought. I'll be back. You can still hear me, y'all. Not that I'm taking a slight departure, like as if that my person could possibly be on somebody's most wanted list. God forbid. I have to get some ventilation. Like trying to get to a place to rent an apartment. I remember when if I were to open up my window or close it or unlock it or lock it. Which for that last mention would all go back to what I was saying and going back or whatever I said to certain neighbors, being of whom would be much more commonly called and or known as proverbial neighbors from hell or public nuisance problem neighbors. There's more than quite a few of them I would suspect are, of the rank and file of the criminal elements as closet riffraff, especially when the lights get too bothering with another neighbor's apartment door or other neighbors' apartment doors to different places of residence. Oh, hold that thought, y'all. Oh my God. Not that I need some such other to interrupt that the proceedings at hand so far as the dialogue. Oh my God. Wait a minute. I guess I'll make this too. Okay, continue. Nobody wants us. 7 minutes remaining. To be broadcasted in the background. Not making reference to a proverbial neighbor from hell or probably nuisance problem neighbor attempting to interrupt the broadcast of my own making for social media. Then I think you all get the general idea of what I'm trying to say regardless. Anything else that could prove to become or be a distraction in a possible and potential negative kind of way, God forbid, so I say as a believer. And I will hope that more than quite a few of you would appreciate that my person having taken the liberties to broadcast anything. Because believe me when I say that it takes a lot of mental energy to do so when trying to give great thought to speaking upon matters in one regard or another, regardless of whatever the subject matter or the topic of discussion to be possibly debated, be it for that of business or pleasure, etc. But then my own personal channel and or chat room is meant to speak upon subject matters or to be debating to debate topics of discussion, which is more for education than entertainment. I assure you, you take it for what you want, but that is the format of my own personal one. Then because life is too short for believers and non-believers or unbelievers alike to be engaged in any kind of foolishness that don't even benefit or blesses oneself, let alone anybody else, if you know what I mean, if you know what I'm saying. Okay? I, for one, I would want to try to think of it with my intentions to go about employing the uses of discretion to occupy my time with that much more something, being of which could possibly prove to become or be beneficial or blessing than to possibly become or be of a status that is just a waste of time, that is not worthy of my attention so much to be possibly considered, or anybody else's for that matter. Whereas it would complement that of a corn phrase. So I paraphrase and not quote exactly. Something about whereas a person would say after interacting or encountering somebody else's dialogue or conversation, say, well, there goes 5 minutes of my time or my life that I don't think I can get back. Anyway, though, and now that I got in the preliminaries out the way, then let me get off into something to speak upon, like say, for example, that two horrific episodes of human history that was chronicled, that we as earthlings for our own species will have to do a much better job than what we have been doing, though pretty much so commendable. I would like to hope lately as well as before we must pick up the pace to address that prejudice, racist bigotry, that is quite a stain upon the record of human civilization for our own species, regardless, be it of the Jewish Holocaust or black slavery, etc., or the most recent anti-Asian sentiments being expressed by some that have yet to get a clue that civilized, mature, intelligent people or persons do not express themselves like that, regardless of whatever race or whatever position in life that one could hold, including if one were to become or be a president of the U.s.A. We must stop all this nonsense. It just brings tears to my eyes to think that our own human species still have quite a long ways to go. And I apologize to the Jewish race of people's persons, as well as I apologize to the black race of people's persons for what they have suffered, during two rather horrific episodes of chronicled human history. It must never happen again. The Jewish Holocaust or black slavery. It must never happen again. Being that because those who forget the past are condemned to repeat it. I'm not saying that we should beat anybody over their heads with the memories of the Jewish Holocaust or black slavery. I mean, there's just so much negative history that one should focus one's attentions upon, unless you want to become a basket case of a social science experiment for shrinks or psychiatrists and psychologists. But we should nevertheless spend a reasonable amount of time researching some such matters so that we as human beings can or could possibly combat the ignorant, insane, and or impolite prejudice, racist bigotry that threatens our world or the human race for our own species, the global international human civilization as we have it. We must never permit that to ever happen again. Never. Never, I say. For when you do not speak in the greater behalf or for the benefit of another individual person or another collective body of people, You don't speak in the greater behalf or for the benefit or the better interest of another or others, then who's to say whether or not you yourself could someday wind up or end up in a concentration camp or upon a slave plantation? We'll never have that happen again. Never. Never, I say, never. Look at me, Jeffrey Dahmer. God, I said, look at me. Never. Remember that one black sister in the courtroom? She was mad as damn hell at what Jeffrey Dahmer had done to her brother. So one could relate to the sufferings of the white Jewish during the Holocaust and blacks during slavery. For the love of God, humans, we must not let this happen ever again. The Jewish Holocaust and black slavery. And President or former ex-President Donald Trump, quit calling the coronavirus the corona Chinese virus or the corona China virus. It's not right. It's a great social injustice. All the inhumanity. President Trump quit calling this corona Chinese virus the corona China virus. Anti-Asian sentiments must not be tolerated. It must not be it must not be complacent sentiments to be expressed. You're a monster, Donald Trump. You are a monster. Leave Asian people alone, Donald Trump. You anti-Asian monsters, leave Asian people, Asian person alone. Anyway, though, you see the tears. Those are real tears. Yeah. We must not permit the present prejudice, racist bigotry to gain more ground. You know what the Asian people or Asian persons or descendants, ancestors, Asian origins have become subjected to experiencing is similar to what the white Jewish had to suffer during the Holocaust, or what blacks had to suffer during slavery. We will never let it happen again. Never, ever. All lives matter. All lives matter. All lives matter. Like that great artist sketch or painting, the white Jewish hand rising from a grave, to let the world know that there was a great human tragedy that had happened. We must never we shouldn't have let that happen to begin with. It must never happen again. Well, I mean to say all the same. 6 million white Jewish persons alone, not to mention a number of other races, races and or classes of people had perished, being the cause of one man's ignorance, insanity, and impoliteness. But then one can make a difference. You know who the one I'm talking about, that meglo-maniac, that former ex-president Donald Trump seems to have considered to become or be a role model for him. I'm talking about the late Adolf Hitler, the late for Nazi Germany, but now Germany is once again a democratic republic or democracy. Like the former Soviet Union or Russia has now become a democratic republic or democracy with a model of government like our own democratic republic, democracy of the U.S.A, United States of America. But we must never let that happen again. Never. Look at me, white Jewish persons. Look at me, look at me. When you think of me, think as if I'm Arthur Schindler. Look at me. Look at me, me. Listen to what I'm saying. You hear? Oh, I think this rain. It could have saved another life. I could have saved more lives. Just ring along. Or with this ring. Akila Haba, Akila Haba. We must never let this happen again, including what is happening to the white Jewish, to be compared on what is happening to Black Americans, the white Jewish in the former Soviet Union of Russia. We couldn't save another life, another Jewish life with these rings. Just one of them could have saved another Jewish life. There, off the Schindler. You did enough. What the? This could have saved another life. Arthur Schindler, you did enough. You did all that you could do at that present given moment in time. Akila Haba. Anyway, though, you all. But then I'm glad to see that Nick Cannon has changed his tune. You know. I mean, who's to say whether or not it's an insult for the white Jewish to supposedly have stolen a black race of people's person's identity, culture, land, etc. I mean, if they want to become or be like black Hebrew Israelites or black Jews, then that should prove to become or be a compliment rather than to be held as criticism or sarcasm against us. So they are considered as being Jews themselves, real Jews, the white Jews as well as black Hebrew Israelites. Akila Haba, Akila Haba, Akila Haba. How can a black person be anti-white Jewish? Don't you know you'll be speaking against yourself? You know, the white Jewish are our brethren as blacks, black Hebrew Israelites of the 10 lost tribes of Israel. They are our brothers and sisters. And how can a white Jewish be anti-black? That's coming against your own. You know, all the hatred and hostility expressed against the black Hebrew Israelite or black Jew Ethiopians in the state of Israel and Palestine. When any white Jewish person comes against a black Ethiopian, you're coming against your own. Not that all white Jewish are like that. The white Jewish are our brethren. I'm sorry, I may get a whole lot of negative vibes coming from some such white Germans and white Russians, though not all white Germans and white Russians are prejudiced, racist, bigots. I mean, I don't consider myself black or white. I consider myself as an American citizen, especially as a Christian, you know. I mean, all lives matter, you all. You hear what I'm saying? But then if I were to be a card-carrying member to some or such of a black social activist organization, but then I actually am of the Black Panther Party. Then because unlike the Black Lives Matter movement, the Black Lives Matter movement is secretly sponsored by commies and socialists in his own right, you know. Okay. So I cannot possibly become a card-carrying member to a supposed so-called black social activist organization that does not represent black people, but represents communists and socialists. And we must never let the United States of America become a communist or socialist government, country, or nation. Anyway, though, I'm going to conclude on this last note of interest, you all, by saying, if you have not gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I will hope that you would think to do so now, while the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing and realizing what he himself had done upon the cross of Calvary, as he did, suffering at the hands of Roman soldiers upon the orders of their superiors, being Pharisees and Sadducees of religious nature, and then etc. But then that's where he went to cross of Calvary, so that anybody that professed faith in him would not have to worry about the lake of fire, damn hell, but could go to heaven. Anybody whatsoever, race, and whatever walks of life. You all take care, be safe, be blessed, not stressed. Peace and love, joy, happiness.